Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Sandra Baroudi. I am a PhD student in the Management and Leadership program. My paper today is an examination of factors that make international large-scale assessment effective. It's a case study of Lebanon. I will start first by introducing you about the challenges that the Lebanese educational sector is facing. Such as the ongoing instability, economic and political instability, especially since the end of the civil war. In addition, we have the recent war in Syria, which now we have more than 750,000 Syrian refugee children attending our Lebanese public schools, where no policies or resources were prepared to face this challenge. Third, we have students' academic achievement, which is steadily dropping comparing to the worldwide peers. For instance, the results of TIMSS in 2003, 7, 11, and 15 show that grade 8 student score was below the international average. Other challenges are related to the curriculum. For example, our history textbooks are not updated since more than 20 years now. We have very insufficient budget allocated to the education sector, limited ICT resources, and very low salaries given to teachers. And teachers are unfortunately now demotivated and not satisfied in the schools. Now, another factor which should be highlighted, which is the ignorance of the Lebanese policymakers in making use of the data coming out, whether from the national official exams or from the large-scale assessment, such as TIMSS, because I'll be focusing in my study only about TIMSS. We all know that large-scale assessments support countries understand their policies, programs, and practices in education when you compare them with better performed countries. They can do that because they collect contextual information from teachers, schools, and students related to the background, attitude, and belief on a specific tested domain. Therefore, the purpose of my research is to investigate the perspectives and understandings of the Lebanese policymakers about the factors that can influence student achievement or performance on TIMSS, and how they made use of these results to improve the educational sector. In addition, this research will shed the light on the need of reforming educational policies by learning from best practices countries, such as the US and Europe. To this aim, in-depth understanding will be sought in relation to these questions. First, what are the common factors that most influence student achievement on tests? Then, how do Lebanese policymakers see similarity of these factors to their own context? Third, are there any other factors that can influence student achievement on tests that are only related to the Lebanese context? Finally, how is Lebanon benefiting from the results of this assessment to improve its educational quality? Hence, I divided my literature review on 3 sections. First section will be to define what are the large-scale assessment and the purpose. The second will be to identify the factors that affect student achievement. Here I did benchmark on 2 major countries, the US and Europe continents, sorry. Third, I tried to see if any research have been done so far related to the Lebanese context on these factors. So to conclude, these scale assessments can assess a student or group of student performance level according to the international standards. And this definition is given by the American Educational Research Association in 1999. These are effective measures of where students stand in a particular subject at a particular point in time. They represent powerful policy tools to reform the educational system, and they can hold schools accountable on the education they provide. If these assessments are constantly implementing, they prove that they can provide teachers with a comprehensive understanding about their curriculum and their teaching methodologies in comparison with others. Now, by reading 2 systematic reviews done in the US and Europe, I have grouped the factors into micro, meso, exo, and macro system. So for instance, on the micro system, I found out the familial and social factors such as socioeconomic status of the family and the language spoken at home. These are factors that can directly impact student achievement on large-scale assessments. On the meso level, teachers' quality, qualifications, and commitment, school human and material resources, teaching methods, preparing students to the test, and having interpreters to help the non-native speakers, which is mainly addressed in the US context, where they brought interpreters to help the Spanish students. On the exosystem, the institutional structure of school system, like how school operate, how they govern their funding, internal and external accountability, and the curriculum itself. Finally, on the macro system, the development level of the country and the political and economical stability found out to be the major factors that can indirectly impact students' achievement. Now, I couldn't find any research done in Lebanon about this area, which made me very happy because my research will fill in this gap. So, however, I looked into the World Bank Group report that was done in 2006. And through this report, I could analyze that similar to US and Europe, the socioeconomic status of students, educational level of parents, and the language spoken at home. Because in Lebanon, we speak three languages, Arabic, French, and English. And it was found out in this report that the parents who speak French or English, their children are doing better on these assessments rather than the parents who are speaking only Arabic at home. Teachers' qualification, language of instruction, whether the language is in Arabic or a foreign language, instructional practices, and availability of resources. Now, other factors came out in this report, such as school location, teacher job satisfaction, student absenteeism, instructional time, teacher professional development, pedagogical activities, and principal experience. Obviously, this was a case study, and I used document analysis and qualitative data. Due to the fact that I'm not living now in Lebanon, this was really challenging for me because I couldn't get a real number of participants, a huge number of participants. So I directly contacted the single institution that administers these large-scale assessments in Lebanon. It's called ECRD, Educational Center for Research and Development. Okay, I contacted them and I invited them to participate in my study. I told them I can do a phone call or even Skype interviews with you. They refused. They told me we can only answer you by email. So I sent them the open-ended questions by email. Only 3 participants get back to me. So this could be a limitation to my study. However, it was really very rich data that I could get from these 3 participants. From this data, I was able to I analyzed this data, I summarized them into narrative text, I coded them and color-coded them, I retrieved main themes, and I retrieved one open main category that I was focusing on. I did the axial coding to see how other categories could be connected to this main one. Hence, the results of my study showed that 3 main factors are mostly impacting the students in Lebanon achievement on the large-scale assessments, which is the curriculum, teaching methodologies, and ICT resources. Here, participants mentioned that a math and science curriculum, for instance, is weak. It doesn't develop critical thinking or problem-solving skills. Teaching methodologies, teachers, they lack experience on dealing with students' questions or even implementing activity that will relate curriculum with the life experience, real life experiences. In terms of ICT resources, not only ICT resources were not there, but also teachers were not prepared to use them or integrate them within the curriculum. Other factors that could be identified, they were not the major one, but they were worth mentioning them, such as teacher specialization, year of experience, language proficiency of teachers, and preparation for test questions. It was also showed that from the results that teacher dissatisfaction and the gender of teacher mentioned throughout my participant answers. They mentioned that students who are taught by female teachers are achieving better than the ones who are taught by male teachers. Personally, I see that this is linked to the fact that females have a natural ability to nurture and comfort students during instability time, such as the Lebanese context. Moreover, results showed that there is a very weak collaboration among teachers. For instance, the teachers, they don't do peer-to-peer observation, they don't share ideas or knowledge. And this is, again, might be linked to their low satisfaction and to the ineffective leadership style, because it is mentioned that whenever you have an effective principal at your school, he or she will promote sharing knowledge and experiences among team members. In conclusion, while international large-scale assessments are a cost-effective tool to serve policymakers, create immediate policies and make educational reform, Lebanon is still failing in making use of them. Not only of these large-scale tests, but also of its own official exams. Like we can see, for instance, until now, where many researchers, such as Osta in 2007, he suggested teachers training for new methodologies. And until now, teachers are not really seriously trained. In conclusion, again, similar to the US and Europe, I found out that the three main factors in Lebanon were curriculum, teaching methodologies, and ICT resources. It will take time, effort, it will need huge technical resources and special skills for Lebanese policymakers to make useful interpretation of the results. It's not important that, okay, we have the result, but if you don't have the skilled people to interpret those results in a meaningful way, in order for policymakers to implement policies for the educational reform, Lebanon will stay, the educational sector will stay the same. This one, I mentioned it before. Okay, therefore, I recommend specifically for the ECRD to train teachers on practicing TIMSS question, not to teach for the test, but to try to integrate the TIMSS activities within the curriculum. I also recommend to increase the accountability level and engage all stakeholders in the educational development, okay, by publicly announcing the results, because in Lebanon, TIMSS results are not publicly announced. So by publicly announcing them, you will hold everybody accountable for this. And finally, I also recommend for Lebanon policymakers to constantly apply these assessments in order to monitor student achievement over time and to have qualified people to interpret the data to generate educational policies. As I mentioned, time and logistic constraints might have hampered the data collection process. Future research are advised to make face-to-face interviews or focus group. Plus, principals and teachers' views could have been helpful for this study in understanding in depth about the influential factors, and maybe seek also information about the actions that could be taken at the school level. Moreover, future studies are recommended to investigate how the Ministry of Education and Higher Education and the Educational Center for Research Development and schools are working together for making the best use of these large-scale assessments. And that's it. Thank you so much.
The TIMSS exams are not publicly announced. Does that mean the results are not available?
No, they're available if you go to the TIMSS online. But in Lebanon, for instance, the official exams, we publicly announce them. But the TIMSS, when they do the TIMSS, it's not publicly announced to the Lebanese community. But if me, for example, I want to go online, yes, I can see them.
Yeah. Okay, cool. My second point, and also very interesting research, so thank you very much for sharing this with us. My second point is about, so you said, so this is sort of like a second order thinking going from the results. So you said the students who were educated by female teachers were performing better
Yes.
than male teachers,
Yes.
And you ascribe that to, for example, a natural ability.
Yeah.
And I think it's an easy understanding for us to say that, like, oh, you know, like females are more nurturing, and I think to a certain extent that's true. But especially in an academic context, I think perhaps, I mean, what I was more thinking is, for example, there are possibly sociological inequalities that present female teachers and male teachers in a different light.
Yeah,
so
could be. I agree with you.
Some of the things that I was thinking about are, for example, are they paid differently? Are they coming from different educational levels? And for example, worldwide, education is a very female-dominant.
Exactly.
Position.
Exactly.
So, for example, there could be institutional empowerment that is present for the female teachers. That's not
exactly, but I didn't want to stress on this point. While this is a really well-known point, I wanted to stress on the Lebanese context, which is now really it's challenging and very, how we can say, unstable context. That's why maybe a female teacher is being able to comfort students, especially now if you see that we have a mix between Lebanese and Syrian. Syrians are coming from different background, different culture, different language of instruction, different curriculum. So as a female, this again based on my own understanding of my own context, are able to comfort the class and to have maybe a better classroom management.
Okay. And my third question is on the ECRD. So is this a state organization that administers the exams? Like, are they the ones that are actually in schools, or are they the ones that are actively making the policy decisions, or are they just the ones?
They are related to the Ministry of Education, and they are the only institution that can administer even the official exams. It's under them.
Okay.
So, and they report directly to the Ministry of Education.
In
Lebanon.
So what made you choose ECRD over, for example, interviewing the members of the Ministry of Education?
Honestly, it was like more like time constraints because I did my study. It was for one course required for a PhD, and second because they were the main ones who are not only they administer the test, but they are the ones who analyze the results. So going to the Ministry of Education, between you and me, I tried. But believe me, they had no idea what I was talking about. Believe me. So I really investigated in this, and from here to there, it was really challenging for me. And finally, I could get connection to the chairman of this center. And thank God, she directly told me, yes, we are the one. Don't go to any other. Really, because they are only the one who administer tests and who collect the results. But unfortunately, I couldn't get as a number of participants that I was really hoping for. But this could be, I don't know, I could do it again maybe on a larger, maybe if I go there or I follow my recommendation, I could make it really a better study.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sandra.
Thank you.
Go for